5 months. That is all we have left until January 16th, when Nigeria votes for its next president. 5 months until one of 3 men walks into Aso Rock. And right now, 4 weeks into the campaign, the outcome is genuinely unclear, and that is more interesting than you might think. Because here's what the numbers say. Bola Tinubu won by 8.5 million votes in 2023. He got 36.61%. Atiku got 29%. Peter Obi got 25.4%. If those 3 numbers hold, Tinubu wins. It is that simple. But politics is not a spreadsheet. Politics is what happens when millions of people change their minds, when coalitions that looked solid in June look broken in January, when the thing that mattered most 3 months ago stops mattering at all. So the real question is not what the numbers say today, it is whether those numbers can actually change between now and January. Welcome back to the Policy Pulse HQ Live. Today we are going to walk through exactly what each candidate is banking on, what each opponent is banking on to stop them, and we're going to do the math on what actually has to happen for each one to win. I'm not going to tell you who I think wins. I'm going to show you the data and let you do the math yourself. And then I want to hear from you. If you are new to the Policy Pulse HQ, welcome. We follow the money, verify the facts, and hold power accountable. Subscribe thou and join thousands of Nigerians who want more than headlines. Watch our investigations on this channel, because this live stream is just the beginning of the story. Turn on notifications so you see every update as 2027 gets closer. Let me see what's in the chat. Scroll down and tell me, who are you voting for? Just drop a name. I'm reading these.
Let us start with the man in power, because being the sitting president is either a massive advantage or a massive liability, depending on whether voters think you have made their lives better or worse. Bola Tinubu took office in May 2023. In his first act, he removed the fuel subsidy. That single decision reshaped the Nigerian economy. Petrol prices went up, transport costs went up, food prices went up. For millions of Nigerians, the cost of living became visibly, immediately harder. But he will tell you, and his supporters will tell you, that was necessary pain for long-term healing. Subsidy removal freed up roughly 5% of the country's GDP. Money that had been going to fuel imports could now go to debt service, health, education, and infrastructure. The economic reforms on his reading are starting to work. The evidence he points to is real. The naira has stabilized. Foreign exchange reserves have grown. The government is actually running a proper budget rather than printing money to cover spending. Inflation is high, but it is falling. ASU is not on strike. Those are facts and they matter. But here is the question that decides elections, not INEC. Do Nigerians feel that? Does the teacher working at a government school who has watched her transport costs double while her salary has not moved think things are getting better? Does the market woman who wakes up every morning wondering if she can still afford to buy stock for her shop think Tinubu's reforms are working? That is the tension Tinubu is running into. And it is why every APC surrogate has to keep saying the sacrifices are temporary, the pain is the price of future gain. Because right now, the pain is immediate and the gain is still theoretical for most households. Quick question for you all in the chat. Do you think Tinubu's reforms are working, or do you think they are making things worse? Type G for good or B for bad. Let me count.
Now let us look at Atiku Abubakar. He is running on the African Democratic Congress, or ADC. He won his party's primary in May with just over 1.8 million votes, beating Rotimi Amechi and others. But Atiku is not betting on his party alone. He is betting on a coalition. In March 2026, he spoke at a press conference where he and other opposition figures, including former Kaduna Governor Nasir El-Rufai and others, talked about forming a united front to unseat Tinubu. The idea was simple. Merge Atiku supporters with other anti-Tinubu voters, create an unstoppable bloc, win together. That coalition looks good on paper. Atiku plus Obi voters from 2023 comes to over 13 million votes. That is more than enough to beat Tinubu if it holds. But here's the problem. That coalition has not actually formed. Peter Obi, who was supposed to be part of it, rejected it. He said he's running on the NDC, which he only recently joined, and he's going to run to win, not to be a junior partner in Atiku's coalition. So, Atiku is in a strange position. He's theoretically strong. He came second in 2023. He has infrastructure. He has political experience going back decades. But he's not getting the opposition consolidation he needs. And he's facing a problem that has plagued him his entire political life. Atiku has run for president 4 times now. He lost to Obasanjo in 2007, came third. He created the APC and then left it. He ran against Buhari on the PDP in 2019 and lost. He ran in 2023 and lost to Tinubu. At some point, voters start to see a pattern. At some point, people start to think, this man has been running for president since I was a child and he has not won yet. That is not an argument against him. It is a fact in the mind of voters, and it matters. Now, Peter Obi. He's the youngest of the 3. He has the most energetic base, and he's making a bet that almost no Nigerian politician would make. He's saying, I do not need a coalition, I do not need Atiku, I do not need anybody. I can win on my own strength. His argument is that he won over 6 million votes in 2023 on the Labour Party, a party that was barely known before he joined it. He built something from nothing. Now, he's moved to the NDC, which he says is a better platform, and he's saying his supporters are growing, not shrinking, and that he can beat both Tinubu and Atiku by mobilizing young voters, educated voters, voters who are frustrated with business as usual. The Nigerian Labour Congress, in a recent statement, backed him up. They said Obi is a sellable candidate who does not need any coalition to win. That is a real statement from a real organization, and it signals something. But let us do the math. In 2023, Obi got 25.4%, Tinubu got 36.61%. For Obi to win, one of 2 things has to happen. Either Tinubu's vote has to collapse for some reason, a scandal, a crisis, massive dissatisfaction, or Obi has to grow his base by millions of new voters while Tinubu stays flat. Both are possible, neither is automatic. And there's another factor. Obi supporters are largely concentrated in the southeast and among young, educated urban voters. Tinubu's base is geographically broader. He won in the southwest by a landslide, he won in the north central, he has support across multiple regions. Obi has depth in some places and weakness in others. Chat question. If you had to bet right now, who do you think wins? Tinubu, Atiku, or Obi? Type T, A, or O. I'm counting them.
So now, let us look at what has changed since 2023, because the fact that nothing is written in stone is what makes this election worth watching. 3.5 years ago, Tinubu was seen as the continuity candidate. He won the APC primary, Buhari backed him, and he presented himself as a reformer who would pick up where Buhari left off. He won. But winning an election and delivering on what you promised are 2 different things. Since he took office, Tinubu has delivered some things. ASUU is not on strike, which is genuinely significant because those strikes destroyed education in the previous administration. He has stabilized the Naira. He has defended the subsidy removal even though it is politically costly. He has not reversed the reforms even when they remain unpopular. But he has also overseen a period where inflation touched 34%, food prices have more than doubled for most households, and unemployment is still officially above 4%, which probably means it is much higher unofficially. So the question for Tinubu voters is this: is the pain worth the gain? And the question for anti-Tinubu voters is this: can Atiku or Obi do better? Now, what has changed for Atiku and Obi? The biggest change is that there is no longer a clear opposition. In 2023, Atiku and Obi were rivals fighting for the same anti-Buhari space. Atiku was the establishment opposition, Obi was the insurgent challenge, and they split the anti-Tinubu vote. This time, both are running, but there is no coalition holding them together. So the question is not whether they can consolidate, but whether voters will consolidate around one of them, or if they will split the opposition vote again. One other change.
Tinubu's base from 2023 is actually smaller than it could be. He got 36.61%. That means 63.39% of voters did not vote for him. Now, 63% includes people who voted for other candidates, but it also includes people who did not vote at all. If Tinubu can hold his base and even a little bit of Atiku or Obi's 2023 voters, he wins. If Atiku and Obi can merge their votes and add new voters from the 63%, one of them wins. That is the election. That is literally the whole thing. Now, let us actually do the arithmetic, because a lot of what determines this election sits in basic addition. In 2023, Tinubu bought 8.79 million votes. Atiku got 6.98 million. Obi got 6.10 million. That is 21.87 million votes across the top three candidates. That means 78.13 million registered voters did not vote for any of them, either because they did not vote at all or because they voted for other candidates. Now, for an opposition candidate to beat Tinubu in 2027, they would need to win roughly 9.5 to 10 million votes, assuming turnout stays similar. That is only 1.7 to 2.2 million votes more than Tinubu got in 2023. In a country of 200 million people, that is not a huge swing. It is achievable. But it requires consolidation. If Atiku and Obi both run and split the opposition vote the way they did in 2023, neither beats Tinubu. If one of them emerges as the clear opposition candidate and actually absorbs the other supporters plus new voters, they can win. So the real question is this: will Atiku and Obi supporters unite, or will they keep fighting each other and guarantee that Tinubu wins by default? That is not a question with a set answer. That depends on what happens between now and January. It depends on whether Atiku's court cases against Tinubu gain traction. It depends on whether the economy gets better or worse. It depends on whether there is a scandal or a crisis that shakes up the political landscape. It depends on what happens at the polls on the ground in January. Are they free and fair, or are they not? All of those things are variables. That is why this election is genuinely undecided. There's also the regional question. Tinubu won the Southwest overwhelmingly. He will do that again. Obi is strong in the Southeast. Atiku has support in the North, but none of them has a lock on their own region. In 2023, Tinubu actually won in parts of the North Central. Atiku did not sweep the North. Obi did not sweep the South. The election was fought across all regions, and that is what made it competitive. If 2027 follows the same pattern, then whoever can appeal across multiple regions wins. Tinubu has that appeal now because he is the incumbent and the machinery of government. Atiku could get it through a genuine coalition. Obi has it potentially with young voters across all regions, but he has not proven he can translate that into votes outside the Southeast. Question for the chat: which candidate do you think appeals across the most regions? T for Tinubu, A for Atiku, O for Obi. Go. Now let me ask a different question. All well and this analysis is math and mechanics. But what actually decides how people vote? Three things: the economy, insecurity, and trust. Let me go through them. The economy. Tinubu's argument is that the pain is temporary, that sacrificing now means prosperity later. His opponent's argument is that he broke things that were already working and made them worse. Both arguments contain some truth. The naira is more stable, but food costs more. Unemployment is officially stable, but underemployment is obvious everywhere. If the economy starts improving noticeably, if inflation keeps falling, if wages start rising, if businesses start hiring, Tinubu wins. If it stays as it is or gets worse, he loses. That is the single biggest variable in this election. Insecurity. Terrorism is still happening. Banditry is still happening. Kidnappings are still happening. Tinubu will point to the military operations he has funded and the security architecture he has set up. His opponents will point to the fact that people are still dying and communities are still unsafe. This is where incumbency can be a liability. People judge you on results, not intentions. If insecurity improves between now and January, Tinubu benefits. If it stays the same or gets worse, his opponents benefit. Trust. And this is the thing nobody talks about enough. Nigerians have to believe that the election will be free and fair. They have to believe that their vote will be counted. They have to believe that the announced result will actually match the votes cast. Tinubu's government has allowed multiple investigations into fake agencies, has allowed elections in states he did not win, has allowed criticism without arresting every critic. That signals that the system has some integrity. But not everybody is convinced. So trust in the process is still being earned. Chat, I want to hear this from you. What is the one thing that would make you change who you are voting for? What would have to happen? Money in the economy? No kidnappings? A scandal? Tell me. So here is what I think, based on the numbers and the current state of things. Tinubu is the favorite right now. He is still ahead. He has the machinery of government. He has the resources. He has already won an election. But he is not unbeatable, and the idea that he will win by 10 million votes, like some people are claiming, is not supported by the data. The real threat to Tinubu is if the economy does not improve and if Atiku and Obi voters actually consolidate. Those two things happening together could create a genuinely competitive race. For Atiku to win, three things have to happen. The coalition has to hold, new voters have to come out, and Tinubu's base has to weaken or not turn out. All three are possible, none are certain. For Obi to win, he has to grow his base significantly, and he has to do it across regions where he has not proven himself yet. That is possible if he can truly appeal to young voters as a change candidate, but it requires him to break outside his current base, which is harder than it sounds. So my prediction, if forced to make one, is that Tinubu wins, but it is not a landslide. It is a 55 to 58% type of win, which means it is competitive and could have gone another way. But I want to be clear, prediction is not certainty, and between now and January, things can change. The economy could improve and shift everything, a scandal could emerge, the opposition could actually unite. The election could be better or worse run than we expect. All of that changes the outcome. Like this video if you want more analysis as we get closer to the election, subscribe to the Policy Pulse HQ and turn on notifications so you see every update. We will be tracking the economy, we will be tracking insecurity, we will be tracking what voters are actually saying, and we will come back with the receipts before January. Tell me in the comments who you think actually wins, and if you change your mind between now and January, come back and tell me why. This is the Policy Pulse HQ. We follow the facts, we do the math, and we let you decide.